we've now got our second speaker, which is Urvi, and she's
Yes.
to talk on the COVID-19 pandemic and virtual field trip of urban economics course.
Okay, let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you just need to go into into your other view mode. That's perfect.
Is it okay
Thank
now?
you.
Okay,
Perfect.
wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you. So, hi everyone. Good afternoon from Hong Kong. I'm Avi. I'm from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. It's my pleasure to share with you my current project about virtual field trip. And this project is a part of the CHK special funding scheme for online learning. And today I'm going to deliver a topic about the COVID-19 pandemic and virtual field trip of the urban economic course. Okay. In a number of courses like geography and real estate, field trip is very common. Herb Broder in Education with Teacher mentioned that field trip provides rich exposure to environments and vibrant locations that reinforce what student learns in the classroom. This kind of learning experience is very effective because it can help to deepen student understanding on the theoretical knowledge. In urban economic course, field trip is regarded as a precious learning experience because it provides students a chance to understand the complex urban economics and to experience the atmosphere that are difficult to produce in the classroom setting. So because of this, I frequently bring my students to an urban area in Hong Kong so that my students can have the real life connection during the field trip. Nevertheless, having a physical field trip is very challenging. First, I have to ensure the safety of the students. Second, the weather is unpredictable. And the third one is the most challenging one, is the shift to online classes. And since early this year, my courses have been switched to online teaching. My students were not able to return to campus because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This means that I could not organize any physical field trip. So because of the pandemic, I started develop the virtual field trip. So far, I have developed two types of virtual field trip. The first one is the conventional video tour, and the second one is the VR 360 video tour. Because of the time constraint, I firstly developed the conventional video tour last semester. It took about 2 weeks to produce this simple video. And later I developed the other one, the VR 360 video tour, so that I could use it at the first semester of this academic year. Both video tours serve the same purpose, which is to show the students the real-world application of the real estate theories in the urban area in Hong Kong virtually. The difference with the conventional video, the students may not have much interaction and they may not be actively engaged. However, with the VR 360 video tour, the students can be more actively engaged because they can move their electronic device around to see the building in the surrounding. And if they have their VR headset, then they can move their head around to see the building. And in this case, the student would be more actively engaged. And in this presentation, I'm going to focus on my research on the second one, the VR 360 video tour as a field trip of the urban economic course. So some literature about the virtual field trip and the VR in the higher education. So in the higher education, the use of VR has begun in 1990s. However, its practicability and financial feasibility hold back the use of VR at that time. And in the last decades, because of the rapid advancement in the internet connection and the significant technology cost reduction, there has been a surge of adopting the VR in the higher education. And nowadays, VR play a key role in transforming teaching and learning experience in higher education because it helps to improve the students' attention. And VR makes learning more real compared to just showing the PPT. Other studies try to examine whether the virtual field trip can replace the physical field trip. In educational research, Spicer and Stratford try to carry out the research on their undergraduate students from the field of biology. They had two questions in their study. First, do the students enjoy using virtual field trip? Second, do they see virtual field trip as a possible replacement for physical field trip? And their research found that while students were extremely positive about the potential of virtual field trip to provide valuable learning experience, nearly all the students were insistent that it could not and should not replace the real field trip. And in the tourism industry, there's also research by Liusman and Verhagen. Their findings shows that the virtual holidays cannot replace the real holiday experience, regardless of apparent inconvenience and environmental dangers to the destination. They added that the virtual holidays can be regarded as a complement, but not as a substitution. So as most of my courses need to be conducted online due to a pandemic, I think that it is a good time to conduct this kind of virtual field trip research. So the objective of this study is first to examine the effectiveness of using virtual field trip to enhance the student understanding of the urban economies in Hong Kong. And the second one is to examine the students' perception of the virtual field trip experience. And it is actually an experimental study where I had two groups of students. The first group of students are the undergrad students where they have their class online. And the second group of students are the postgrad students that the hybrid class was adopted. This means that half of the students are in the physical classroom and the other half of the students having their class online through Zoom. So before the students fill the VR, they are required to do the test, which is the pre-test. There are 10 questions, multiple choice, and I use the UReply platform to do it. And after the students fill the VR, they have to do the same test, which is the post-test. And this aims to examine the effectiveness of using VR to enhance students' understanding on the real estate concept and their application. And the second step was to ask the student to do the questionnaire survey to Qualtrics. And for this survey, it aims to understand about the students' perception on their VR experience. So the students can view the VR through YouTube or Panopto video because I've uploaded to these two platforms. And they can use different devices to view the VR. If they have headset, VR headset, then they can use the VR headset. And if they are in the classroom, then we provide the VR headset for them. But if they don't have the VR headset, then they can use their mobile phone or iPad so that they just can move their device in order to view the building. However, they can also choose to view using the laptop computer or desktop computer, but they have to click and drag the screen to see the buildings in the surrounding. So our first result shows that which is the pre-test and post-test performance. It shows that it shows the means of the pre-test and post-test. Before the students fill the VR, the means is 4.4, which means that the students can answer about 4 questions correctly on average. And after they fill the VR, the result is 6.4, which means that the students can answer more than 6 questions correctly on average. And if we look at the means between these two tests, actually the means are significantly at 1% level. And from here, we can presume that VR is effective enough to enhance students' understanding on the urban area in Hong Kong. And in our second test, we use the questionnaire survey. Actually, we have about 80 students in total, but because this kind of questionnaire survey is voluntary and they can choose not to respond to the survey. And besides, some of the questionnaire survey is invalid. So at the end, we only have about 50 valid sample. So from these 50 valid samples, 64% are female and 36% are male, and 58% undergraduate, 42% postgraduate. And the device they use varies. The majority of them use a laptop, which is about 30%, and 18% of them use VR headset, 24% use their mobile phone, 10% use iPad, and 18% use the desktop computer. So in the questionnaire survey, we have 5 questions using the 5-point Likert type scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. So when they were asked whether they have learned the concept and application from this VR, and 86% of the students agree with this statement, and 72% of the students also agree that they enjoy viewing the VR. Interestingly, when they were asked whether VR is a good alternative to substitute the physical field trip, the result does not show any clear pattern, with half of the students agree and half of the students disagree. And the same results is also shown for question number 4, when they were asked whether the VR can be a complement to the physical field trip, and there's also no clear pattern for this one. And this is a very interesting result, and we think that further study is needed for these 2 results. And when they were asked whether they want to have more use of VR in the university teaching, and there's still a high percentage of the students would like to have the use of VR in the university teaching. And interestingly, when they were asked whether they prefer physical field trip to virtual field trip, the majority of them still prefer the physical field trip. Some of them mentioned in the open-ended question, they would prefer looking at the real skyscraper because it's more stunning. And through the physical field trip, then they can have more memories. So they still think that the physical field trip is more interesting than the virtual field trip. This result, in fact, is in line with the result of Spicer and Stratford, that the virtual field trip could not replace the physical field trip. So to conclude, based on our experimental study, VR is effective enough to enhance the students' understanding on the urban area in Hong Kong. Student agrees that using VR as a virtual field trip is evasion because they don't have to travel, and it can be used during the pandemic. However, it cannot be used as a substitute to the physical field trip. So in overall, students still prefer the students still prefer the physical field trip. So for our further study, we will continue to collect more data and to carry out more analysis to have robust results. And this is the end of my presentation, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. I really enjoyed that. And I think following on from Gunther's comment in the chat, wouldn't it be great for us all to do one of our own cities and share our cities? And I wonder if your students would have found going to a city that they may not have been able to, like not Hong Kong, whether they would find that more interesting because they couldn't travel there. Be quite interesting to look at. That's something that maybe as a society we should look at, maybe sharing cities. Has anybody else? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, if you guys can also do that, then we can share this kind of virtual field trip together. Otherwise, you know, if I need to go to another city to do that, then I need some funding to do that. Because for this one, it takes about $10,000 US to produce this VR. Yeah, so it's not cheap. Yeah, it'd be good if other scholars from the other city, they also do this kind of field trip, then we can just share together, then it will be very interesting. Yes,
I think it would be amazing. Tiffany asked, does your uni provide students with access to the headsets?
Yeah, actually we have the unit in the university called Elite. They helped me to produce this VR video. They also have the headset. So at that time, I borrowed a headset from them. And actually for my funding, as they have money, so actually I already ordered another 25 headsets for this one. So hopefully later we have more headsets. So if we have more students in the classroom, then we can use, all the students can have the VR headset. Yes.
Yeah. We use, just to make it affordable to our students, we use the cardboard ones. So they can put their phones in there, and that works really well, because if they lose them, they lose them. But if they want to get better ones for themselves, but so we actually supply all our students with cardboard headsets.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, that's very nice too.
Any other questions, either verbally or on the chat?
Yeah, I have a question to Heavy. Thank you for a very interesting presentation. What is not imitated in this virtual field trip that students still in the end say, I would prefer for a physical field trip visit?
Pardon, I couldn't understand which one is imitated. Sorry.
Like what is missing in the virtual field trip according to students?
They want to have, like, if they are really in the physical field trip, then they have more memories because they are really there. They could feel there, you know, could really feel the environment over there. And even like if you use the virtual field trip, like you look at the buildings, but if you're really in that environment, then it will be more stunning for that one. Yeah. So there's actually the feedback from the students. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will move on to our next speaker, which is Cynthia. Is that right?